So like 13, 14 years ago, before I had ever set foot in Canada, ever,
Right.
for anything, there was a strip joint in Toronto that had a drink named after me.
What? Are we talking first name and last name? Do drinks
Like,
have last names?
no, the drink was called the Caro,
Okay, I love it. I love it.
and it was 100% created and named after me.
This is the online trainer show, trainer show, trainer show. This is the online trainer show. We shouldn't have a podcast.
So much sheen and body, and it's glorious. It's just
Thank you.
glorious. It's
Thank
glorious hair. So you guys missed this because this is the part of the commentary that we have before the podcast started. But since I'm such a considerate and observant man, I've complimented Kettle on her hair because she.
I just learned
received a
something new.
haircut. Yeah,
I just learned something new.
What did you learn, Jonathan?
When there's a 40% forecast of rain,
What?
Yes,
does that mean
I know
that
what
there's
it means.
does that mean that there's a 40% chance that the forecasted area will get rain, or a 100% chance that 40% of the forecasted area will get rain?
The second one, 100%.
I
Yes.
say first.
Nope, it's the second one. It's the
Is
second
it
one. So
really?
there is a 100% chance that rain is coming. They just don't know exactly where it's going to hit. So they forecast a bigger area than they know it's going to hit, knowing that it's
Right.
only going to hit 40% of that big area.
Gotcha.
I just learned
So
that.
somewhere around there, rain's
Well, I
coming.
always wondered why they don't know. Like how do you? I mean, I see like meteorology charts. Like you see the thing moving in. Like how is this? How is science so precise in so many things? Yet for some reason the weather report is wrong so often. Is something I've always wondered, and it's because I mean the wind could there could be like one cloud that has rain or whatever it is, right?
Right,
And the wind
right.
could just blow it off course a little bit, and so. The weather report is actually great. If it says there's a 40% chance of rain, it is going to rain. You just may not be under that one cloud. It could be people 10 minutes away from you.
So,
This-
speaking of
go ahead, Carol.
statistics, tomorrow I'm going to IKEA, and there is 100% chance I'm going to be pushing and shoving people to get the shit that I need for my house.
Yo, can you pick me up some meatballs?
Oh my god!
That's basically why I
100%.
train, okay? To outrun people, to outshove people. Talk about functional training for life. That's my life, okay?
Oh,
You got them pointy elbows too. Those are kind of useful.
Those elbows
Pointy
will dig
elbows.
between a second and third rib. There's no question about that. So I got to revisit an earlier conversation. And so, who wins a fight? Petty Keto, no, Sleepy Keto, or IKEA Keto? Like who takes who in that fight? Because IKEA Keto sounds inherently violent. It sounds as if Sleepy Keto may become violent if things aren't met, if household demands are met. But it
Yes.
sounds like IKEA Keto is going out with premeditated thoughts of violence. It's not reactionary. It's your intent from the time that you put on your pants,
Yes.
your shoes, your pants, whatever. So do we think that IKEA Keto is much more of a danger to mankind than Sleepy Keto?
I think that's a safe assumption. Yes.
All right. That's
I mean,
fair.
but to me, that's
fair.
one of those questions of just. Here's what I think about that.
All right.
The level of danger with Kero is so high to start with.
Right.
That getting into the nuanced little itsy bitsy which bit of Kero is more dangerous is kind of irrelevant because you're already dead.
It's irrelevant.
You're already dead.
So if I've learned anything so far, what you're saying is a 40% chance of Catalina Bermudez being violent does not mean that it's 40% of it's 40% chance of it happening. It means there's a 100% chance
Yes.
that 40% of the people she will encounter will
Yeah,
will be subjected to a violent act. This is
Because
what
at
you're
the end of
saying.
the day, you don't have to be fast in light of danger, i.e., Carol.
Right.
You just have to be faster than somebody else.
Right. Catalina
Like a
Belmont
bear.
is
Just
synonymous
trip a
with danger. Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
trip a
absolutely.
friend.
Just
I'll
yeah.
focus on them while you run.
It's like if you're going out. It's like if you're going out. I mean, we've spoken about this before, right? If you're going out to the bar to pick up girls, you don't have to be good looking. You just have to be a little bit better good looking than the person you came with.
Than the person
Right.
you're with.
Yes.
Yeah, the group of people.
If you're going out to a dangerous situation where there's a wild Carol loose, like you don't have to be fast.
Right.
You just have to be faster than the person you came with.
Right.
And then they're gonna get taken out, and then you can make your getaway. Like this is just this is just strategy. That's all
What
it
I've
is.
learned to do is move slowly and make no big movements when I'm in the presence of a
No, that's
of a
not what you
Lucetto.
do. You make yourself as big as possible. You make
Oh, is
yourself
that
as big as
what it is?
possible, and you
The
yeah.
you
safest way,
challenge-
the safest way is just offer your wallet, and then
Right.
that will be enough. That will be enough to appease it and be like, "Ooh, what do we have here? Oh, Goldman, American Express. Oh, perfect. Oh, okay. You go about your day. I'll take care of this."
I've heard you toss a Moscato in the other direction and then you run when she's distracted by it. That's what I've heard. Or you just run in the other direction. I don't know. Some of it's myth. I don't know the real science here.
Right.
I'm just postulating, but I think another good book. I think a great economics book would be Forecasting Keto. What's the likelihood the likelihood of danger in a keto encounter? Forecasting keto. I think that's a great book topic. Jonathan, maybe you're 12th. I don't know the business. I can't suggest to you what you should do with your brain. I'm just saying from a layperson's perspective, I think that
Right.
flies off the shelves. Forecasting keto. The likelihood of danger in a Catalina Belmontes encounter. That's just good.
Great.
That's good literature.
Literature.
So, ladies, I've got to commend you because I've not said this to many people yet, but now that we're on air, just a riveting show that you put together when Jonathan and I were absent. I've got a bit of a bone to pick. As you
Unquestionably the
solicit-
best episode that we've produced.
Probably so.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You solicited bounty hunters and black market investigators to dig into Ren dirt, right? This is where I'm at odds with your little production from several weeks ago. Let's get people to find dirt on Ren. Let's laugh together now. Like I don't appreciate it. Let me just
Everybody
go
now.
ahead and put
Ladies in the back. Ladies in the back. No in front.
Let's laugh together and dance around a coffee table like we're in a rom-com. Like I don't appreciate it. And I've cut off all back channels to data. So just so you know that. I've hired some professionals who have cut. You remember when one of the Jenner girls or the Kardashian, the ladies. Her gammy took a picture of her and she freaked out.
Right. It was a totally normal picture. And she
totally
was like,
normal
"Take
picture of
that
her."
Down.
Yeah,
Yes.
and she solicited the internet. I believe she contacted Al Gore directly, who invented the internet, obviously. She contacted Al Gore directly and said, "Mr. Gore, take down that wall." Now, that's the wrong quote. She said, "Mr. Gore, take that picture down. Get that picture out of here." And
They
that's what
scrubbed it.
I've contacted some similar people. Maybe not an Al Gore level because he's too cool for me to approach, but I've contacted some people to make sure that the back channels that lead to my privatized information are not corrupted by the likes of you two. You never catch me, coppers. Yeah, see? So you've been warned. And if my data gets out there, these ladies sleep with the fishes tonight. Although I'm a little bit frightened of Carol. That's all I have to say, Jonathan. Do you have anything to add? What's our topic, Jonathan? I can't even deal with these
Get
ladies
Amber to
right
say
now.
it. I'm just typing something. I'm just
All
typing
right,
something. Get Amber to say
do
it.
what you're doing. I'm gonna get back to Instagram in a second. But Amber, we're talking about things, and you know the things that we're talking about. But we need a story from Keto before we get into this topic because this story has been building. It's been building for several weeks.
I actually have the perfect way of starting this. This morning, I swear to God, it was this morning. I started my day with tequila.
Very good. Very good.
Yes.
Good
So
for
what
you.
happened is we went to an opening of a local restaurant, and it's a Mexican restaurant. So I just showed up. Nobody wants me there. It's all about Jeff. He's the mayor. He does like the
Right.
ribbon cutting with the big scissors and the whole 9 yards. And I'm like,
Right.
but it's a Mexican restaurant, so I want to go. So I just show up. And then he jokes. He's like, "Oh yeah, she loves palomas, which is like a drink very popular that we have in Mexico. It's with tequila."
Right.
Oh yeah, I learned how to make them because she loves them. Don't they bring me out a paloma? And I'm like, "Ooh, tequila." I'm like, "It's 11 o'clock. I don't care. I'm starting my day." So then I started my day with tequila this morning. I don't care.
Very
It was
good.
great. I was living my best life. And all of this to say that this is an actual true story, and this is a true story that Jeff just found out in the presence of Jonathan and Allison and all of Allison's family at the cottage,
Very-
because he did not
very
know
good.
this about me.
Very good.
But now, yes, what better way to bring up stuff like this than in
Absolutely.
front of your new people that he's meeting? So he couldn't have a big reaction. So this is totally legit, guys. So 13, 14 years ago, before I had ever set foot in Canada, ever,
Right.
for anything, there was a strip joint in Toronto that had a drink named after me.
What? Are we talking first name and last name? Do drinks
Like-
have last names?
No, the drink was called the Caro,
Okay, I love it. I love it.
and it was 100% created and named after me.
Now, I feel like there's a deeper story here that we might not yet be prepared to hear. But how does one get a drink named after them?
All that I'm saying is that you all see people right now being influencers. That's influence, baby. When a strip
right.
joint in an obscure part of a city in a country that you've never even set foot in has a drink named after you, that's influence. And you're welcome. The drink, I can't remember now what the mix was, but it had tequila and something else, some other kind of liquors. I can't remember, but yeah, that's my claim of fame.
Very, very good, Keto. This is the kind of information that the listeners tune in to hear. That's what I feel like. So here's what I like. If you're out there and listening, give us your recipe for a keto. Whatever you think you'd like to put in that. Recipe videos or just a photo of the finished drink with a list of itemized things that you put into it.
Love it. Yes.
To the bartenders out there, the mixologists, we're calling on you to produce your very own keto, and we'll ship each drink to Keto, and she will personally taste test it and get back to you with her thoughts about which one is the most keto-esque. So let's make that happen. That's good usage of our time, and
That's
a good,
great.
and of course, it's going to Amber. Send that to Amber at theptdc.com. She'd love to field all of these photos
Yes.
of your keto. Well,
I promise to show up for recording right after testing all of the drinks. All of the drinks at the same time.
We
and
get a
then I'll come
reaction.
record.
We get a reaction video on YouTube from Keto. So on to other things. Amber, there's a topic today, and it's important. Probably, I don't know. We're gonna talk about stuff, and what's I know it has something to do with Dogma. And this was this is a big deal because this is one of the few sort of phone in or write in questions that we've gotten from listeners, the viewership out there. Obviously, we translated it from Lithuania's native language into English because they're the only people that pay attention to us. But Amber, are you willing and do you have the capacity at this point, Amber, to read what the statement was? Have you found it?
Yeah, we're good.
All right.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Avoiding
Well-
damaging dogma in order to become a more complete professional.
Okay, so can we explain what that means?
No, that's your.
Do you want me to explain what that means?
I had to Google what dogma was earlier, so no.
Nope. It's a great movie with Matt Damon and
It's a great
what's
movie.
what's the other kid?
Kevin
Affleck.
Smith.
Is
Yeah,
that
well,
Kevin Smith?
it's
It's got them in it.
it's like the Jane Silent Bob like
Yeah.
crowd. It's like all of
Yeah.
those guys, right?
Good movie.
What does that mean? Avoiding dogma. When it is very easy to get wrapped up in a certain very biased line of thinking in our industry and believe that that's the only way because those are the only people that you listen to. And as a result, you don't become a complete professional. You don't see other points of view. So if you are in the, I don't know, pick your poison, the CrossFit, the movement prep, the mobility, the whatever world that you decide that you're in for whatever reason, either you fell into it somehow or you started to listen to somebody and it resonated with you, whatever. What happens is, and this is the way that the algorithms work in any social media channel that you're going to use, even your search in Google and stuff like that, is these systems are going to show you more stuff that you click on, and they're going to increasingly show you more stuff that's like that, which means you start seeing less of everything else. And as a result, you start to believe, because it's all you see, that there's all that's out there. And if somebody were to ask you, like, separate than that, then yeah, you'd know, obviously, that there's more out there, but because you never see it, it becomes very, very hard to put that into play every single day. And this is a huge, huge, huge problem, because in order to do this job well, you've got to realize that different shit is different. Different people are different. There are different solutions to different types of clients, and the best solution is almost never the solution that you used last week for every client you work with last week. In Warren Buffett's words, if you ask a barber whether you need a haircut, he's going to say yes. This is just not, and so you've got to collect enough information and know-how from a whole bunch of different disciplines and parts of our field to be able to understand how to best serve your clients and take care of your clients and identify what's needed at what time. And over the course of a client's life cycle, that's going to change, of course. But the issue is, dogmatically, you are probably in one very distinct school of thought right now. The people you follow probably all think more or less the same way. And if you're not careful, it's just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper that way, which is going to make you a less complete, less effective professional, which ultimately is going to harm you and provide your clients in opportune and incomplete service.
Yeah, you're so fixed on one thing that you don't let any other information in, because you believe one way and that's the right way. That's it. I believe the philosopher Drake expressed it as no new friends, no new friends, no. That's what he says about it. Drake's not having any more new friends because he's very dogmatic about the friends that he has. He's from Toronto.
So this is another. Yeah, can we just talk about how I have literally never listened to a song by Drake and said I enjoy that?
Oh man!
Like, as a Canadian, I feel like it's blasphemous for me to admit this.
It is, Jonathan.
But never has a song by Drake come on the radio, and I thought, that's pretty good. Like, not once. Not once.
I like to hear a grown man whine on radio as my like that. That's just so musical to me.
Can't do it.
So I understand nothing was done for me. I wonder if ever man. Like that doesn't do anything for you, Jonathan?
It sounds like he's bored out of his mind when he's singing songs.
You think so? I think it's just amazing vocal stylings. I don't get you sometimes, Jonathan. This will be another place where we don't intersect, because
you're a Drake fan.
Well, I guess if it's on the radio, I like it.
Nobody's actually like I haven't met anybody who's like, Drake is amazing, but like he has set every single record for like Billboard top tens. Like he annihilated like the Beatles, right?
Right, absolutely.
His records.
Well, these are mostly women under 30, Jonathan, that really enjoy a good Drake song. I don't know. Let's move past that, because we've got an actual topic. We've heard a stripper story today. 2 stories about drinks from Keto, which is absolutely on brand. She's been to a ribbon cutting ceremony, Amber's told us what the topic is. Jonathan rambled a bit about the description. We're right where we need to be on this podcast. We're totally in line with
Pretty
what we
much.
normally do here. Let's just continue. So, Keto, I'm gonna go to you, and I'll set it up easy so you don't have to think too much. I don't know when the tequila's gonna hit, or if the tequila has passed through already. We don't know, and Lord knows I don't want to run into IKEA Keto in between at any point on this podcast. So I'm trying not to draw your anger. So you and I have both been through the precision nutrition process.
Yes.
I know that for sure. And a lot of the precision nutrition process is about being nutritionally agnostic, right? We do not have a dogmatic approach. We're not rooted in one specific way of doing nutrition. How do you react to clients coming in for you that are very, very, I'm keto, I'm vegan, I'm
Right.
CrossFit, I'm whatever. Like, has that ever interrupted your ability to work with a person? Do you try to talk them out of that? In your own business practices, have you found yourself being specifically one way about everything? Or are you much more likely to be flexible in your approach? Talk to us about that, Keto.
Definitely flexible. Flexible is always the way to go. And one really funny thing that I remember is once a client was like, rice is the worst, rice is the devil. It's like rice is like the everything is wrong because of rice. Kind of that was her dogma.
Right.
And I remember just looking at her and smiling and being like, wow, that's really interesting for me to hear as a Mexican. And that's all I said. And she and her eyes just went big and she kind of back like, oh, like it hadn't occurred to her that entire civilizations have existed on like diets of like mainly rice and other stuff perfectly fine for literally centuries. And so that was
awesome.
fantastic. Yeah. I was like, that's really interesting as a Mexican, right?
Did you say, hold on, I've got some Japanese friends I want you to talk to next?
Yeah, right. It's like, oh my God, has Japan heard this? Because I don't think they know, girl. You should tell them. You should inform them. No. Anyway.
So Jonathan, we talk about being polarizing from a business perspective, right? When we're talking about how we set up our unique selling proposition, for instance, in the Online Trainer Academy, we want to stand for something, have some lane. But in your mind, is there a differentiation between being polarizing for the purposes of marketing versus being dogmatic? Like, is there a difference between those two? Is it just semantics? Are they basically the same thing? What are your thoughts there? You've written books. You know things.
If I understand your question, which I don't know if I completely do, but
That's fair. Allow me to rephrase.
Sure,
So
go for it.
we talk about being specific in the Online Trainer Academy,
okay.
and we talk about from a marketing perspective. Oftentimes being polarizing on a topic is good to bring in the demographic that you want to work with, right? Is there a difference in your mind between being polarizing for the sake of marketing versus being dogmatic? Are they the same thing in your mind?
I don't think you should ever be polarizing for the sake of marketing. I think that that's a horrible way to live. I think that's a horrible way to run your business, and I think it's going to hit you in the face. And so, yeah, that's the first thing that I'll say. If you have strong opinions and you really believe in those opinions, then absolutely, I think that it's worth sharing those opinions. As long as you're willing to take in information on the contrary and actually accept that and add that to part of your mental model of how the world works, right? If it seems like it makes sense. Unfortunately, if we're caught in our own kind of filter bubbles of where everybody agrees with us, even though we might be wrong, like flat earthers, then, it's one of those things where it becomes very, very hard to accept information to the contrary that's challenging. I mean, this is the nature of cognitive dissonance, right? Where cognitive dissonance actually gets strengthened if you're in a community of people who believe the same thing as you, because then you basically form like an us against them type thing. And so This is again why it's important to go out of your way to learn from people who have different opinions and disagree with you, particularly if they are intelligent. Like somebody who's really smart and successful that thinks that things operate or the world operates or a certain piece of the world or business or whatever operates different than me.
Right.
I'm fascinated to talk to them. Like they're the first people I want to have a conversation with. It's like, I don't agree with you, but what you're doing works. So I'm obviously missing something
Right.
in terms of my understanding of how this stuff is put together. And I'm obviously going to get better at what I do. I might receive that information from you and decide that my way is still the right way to do it. But most likely what's going to happen is I'm going to figure out that there are other scenarios and situations that I haven't accounted for in my way. And now I'm going to become much more robust and resilient towards those things. I don't think that answers your question at all, but I didn't really understand your question.
That's all right. That's all right. Amber's got her hand raised.
Amber has a question.
Yeah.
Save us, Amber.
No, I understood the question. I wasn't sure about the topic as a whole, but I understood this particular question.
Amber's doing like 6 other jobs for PTDC right now. Jonathan has one job, to pay attention
One
to this
thing
podcast.
that I've realized over time is that if you talk long enough about something you want to talk about, and you say it in any way, shape, or form, an interesting way, people actually completely forget what the question was, and it doesn't matter, and then you can just have your own agenda. It works really, really well.
Isn't that your interview strategy?
Isn't that my what?
Your interview strategy when you go onto like a podcast and they interview you, you still just talk
completely.
about whatever you want, yeah?
Look, this is why I wanted to do this format of a podcast, because every single podcast is the same boring shit where they ask the same stupid questions to the same
Right.
people, but ask those same questions over and over again. And so, like, as somebody who gets interviewed all the time, this is what you're trained to do. Like, I'm not saying this for me. I'm like, this is actually what the training tells you to do.
Right.
Is prepare 5 to 10 stories really well and be able to tell them as a performance. And those 5 to 10 stories should be able to illustrate the answer to every single question that somebody could ask you about what you do or how what you do works. Because there's only so many things that somebody's going to ask you about. And in my mind, that's just really boring. So I don't do it. So I just get off track all the time. And then I play silly games with myself in interviews where I try to bring up stuff like I've decided that now in every single professional talk that I give from now on, I'm going to talk about poo. Just
Right.
because.
Right. I
It's
was
just-
able to see that post the other day.
It's just one of those things. It's just, maybe I won't do poo. I don't know. But poo to me is universally funny and democratizing because everybody does it. And it's gross when everybody does it, no matter who you are and what trappings you have. And so it's something that I feel like can connect us all and break down walls and barriers. But my point is, I find these things that are so repetitive to be so unbelievably boring that I kind of like play games with myself to entertain myself in them. But what you're taught, and you'll see this amongst speakers, it's the same thing. I mean, how many quote unquote thought leaders can you watch for more than like 3 or 4 videos? There are some exceptions, but like not many, because they basically say the same thing over and over and over again.
There is an amazing TED Talk about thought leaders. It is fantastic. I'll see if I can find it, maybe add it.
Show
They're really
notes.
Why?
Yeah.
What about it? What jumped out at you?
He goes on stage and like presents like a thought leader, and he calls out all of the actions that thought leaders do.
Oh yeah.
And it's hysterical.
I've seen the clip.
Basically exactly what Simon Sinek does. Like Simon Sinek has never had an original or even thoughtful or intelligent idea. He's just so good at he's a marketing guy. Like if you look at his background, like he's literally a marketing guy. He understands the marketing of thought leadership so well, and he's just playing the game. And it's brilliant to watch because it's so convincing and he pulls you in so much, and then you're just like, I literally just learned nothing.
I'm going to do the unthinkable here and pull us back on topic. It's
I got nothing against Simon
Thank you,
Sinek. He
thank you,
motivates
thank
people.
you.
Like, he does a good job. He's super
great
engaging.
guy.
But I mean, it's to Amber's point. It's exactly that. What's the topic?
Well, let's go back to Amber. What we've learned from Jonathan is, regardless of your poo trappings, poo is something that unites us all across socioeconomic conditions. Thank you for that, Jonathan. But Amber actually has an answer for the question, which is, where do we draw the line between being polarizing or being dogmatic? And is there an issue there? So, Amber, if you can remember any of the thoughts you had before Jonathan started to speak, please feel free to share some.
I tried really hard to remember.
I know you did. I know. I could tell. I could tell by your furrowed brow.
I know. My head hurts now. So there's definitely a difference between believing in one thing and only that thing versus what we tell our students to do, which is have a really good solution for a particular type of people with a particular type of problem.
Right.
So it's not that other solutions don't exist, but you have found for this group, for this need, this is the right solution. So there's definitely a difference between those two worlds. And it can be polarizing for people who believe only one thing. And so it can challenge their thoughts. But there is definitely a difference, and I wanted to point that out.
So this is a good point, because if you have a specific demographic that has a specific situation, and you've devised or found or been taught a specific solution, you are indeed not being dogmatic, because you're not trying to apply that solution across the board to every situation. You're applying the correct solution to a specific situation, taking into account all the context and nuance of that situation. Versus, there's a difference between having a solution for busy moms, which we'll say, for example, you say it's walking 3 times a week and doing strength training twice. That's cool for that specific situation. Versus you having a 25-year-old male in front of you, a 30-year-old boxing champion, 40-year-old free climber, and a 30-year-old cheerleading coach, and saying, oh, walking 3 times a week and doing 2 strength training sessions is going to work for all of you no matter what. It's the best way. I know better than you. Go ahead and do this. So that's what I'm understanding is the difference, Amber. Is that correct? That was a very good answer.
I think that's a good answer. Like, it comes down to like knowing who it's for and knowing who it's not for, and being honest about that. Right? Can I talk about before this episode ends? How to actually open yourself up to new ideas.
I would like to do that.
Perhaps give some. Okay, I'm just going to finish my message and then I'll.
All right. Well, I'm going to defer to Keto really quick, because
Caro's doing her nails as we
Good job,
speak.
Keto. You're always on brand. I love that. Before I'm gonna let you finish that pinky, Keto. But before I do that,
Carol literally has tequila flowing through her veins and is doing her nails on the podcast right now. Can we just talk about how?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
If you were to script this,
we couldn't.
This is it. This is perfect.
This is perfect, Keto. So, Keto, really quickly, so Jonathan can finish his message and then he can share with us. Do you find that you avoid being dogmatic in your approach because there are just certain people that you just do not work with? Like, is that it?
Yes. So I think a good strategy for me personally is that when I have super strong feelings about something, that's like a clue for me to, sit back and just kind of like analyze, what is this strong feeling? Because even somebody coming up with something that to me is super annoying, like, oh, I'm all about keto. And I'm like, girl, like roll eyes or whatever.
Yes.
Even that is like, why am I rolling my eyes? I need to sit down and take a deep breath and understand my frustration or the story that's playing in my head with what this client is bringing. So that's always... Yeah, your reactions, I guess, are gonna be your clue.
To define yourself and your methods by a specific dogmatic approach is inherently flawed.
Right.
That's a lot of the issue. You want to define yourself by the end goal of a client. You want to define yourself by what the client will become as a result of your training, not by the dogmatic approach that you're going to force down every single one of your clients' throats, regardless of whether it's right for them or not.
isn't it just fundamentally anti-science? Like we are in a science-based industry, and science is inquisitive. It's not absolute. It's not dogmatic. There's several scientific things that we discovered and undiscovered because we're always inquisitive and looking. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jonathan.
And the minute that you build any kind of a business or a brand off of a dogmatic approach, immediately now you're putting yourself in a corner that will become impossible to get out of. There was a book by somebody named Upton St. Clair written in like the 1930s, the 1920s called "It Can't Happen Here," and in that book is a quote that I'll never forget, which is, "You can't convince." Oh, you know what?
I know what it is. It's difficult. Quote. It's difficult to get a man to understand something when his income depends on him not understanding. I quoted that all last week, by the way, because I love that quote, and I heard that quote from you. I'm not familiar with the book, but I love that quote because it's so relevant.
The book's about some crazy, demanding demagogue who enters into government and takes over, and it has nothing to do with what happened for the last 4 years. Nothing.
Right.
It's not prophesizing or anything to what happened, and it doesn't show that we just haven't ever learned as a society. Nothing to do with that. We're not nothing at all to do with any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the point is, if you build a business based off of like keto and the ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting or a specific type of training or whatever it is, you have immediately shut yourself off from accepting clients or doing an optimal job with clients that specific approach is not perfect for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
that's a serious issue, man.
To your point, Jonathan, painting yourself into a corner you can't get out of. I know that Amber and Keto are fairly aware of things that happen on the internet, but wasn't there some big influencer, some big vegan influencer that had to apologize for eating meat recently or something? Didn't that happen in over 2020? Some
they had
young
serious
lady
health problems. They had some serious health problems and had to start eating like fish or something, and
while
something
still
like
touting the whole vegan lifestyle.
Right.
Like, it's not even that you change your views, is that you don't allow for people to see your process of changing your views.
Right.
That's super valuable. You're actually teaching
Yes.
people that it's okay to think different, to try different things, and to find what works. That's amazing. But freaking do it. Like, be honest about it, right?
Like from that example, from what I understand of it, she really still believed that veganism was the right way to go, but her health circumstance meant that she really needed to have a little bit of fish with her diet, which, like, even if she still believes, and so then, I mean, what you do then is you be open to that and say, hey, I still believe that veganism is the right way to go, but look, different people have different needs, and I totally understand that. So here are ways to eat a little bit of meat in a very sustainable way, and I mean, but the problem was, and the problem is that it's very difficult to build a big platform these days while being open to nuance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of forced to, and this is, I think, what happens in a lot of these cases. I mean, I don't actually believe that the majority of people spouting absolutist dogmatic statements are actually absolutists.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
What I think is that the process happens slowly over time, where they make one statement that sort of gets them to make another statement that gets another statement, and all of a sudden, without even noticing it, the spirals continue to the point where they are so deep in their assertions and riling up people around that deepness of their assertions that they can't get out of it. Like I think that is a lot of the issue. I don't actually. I mean, some people maybe believe that deeply, but I've met a lot of these people that are like super intense on the internet and had open and very, very honest, intelligent, responsible conversations with them. And I'm like, bro, you are not representing yourself appropriately on the internet,
Yeah, but it's probably selling to a specific audience, right?
Yes.
It's appealing to a specific audience.
And from my perspective, the most troubling thing about Dogma is it's almost anti-transparency. like the more dogmatic approach, the less
Yes.
transparency you're able to have as a human. Again, Jonathan, painting yourself into that corner. I can't be very open and honest with my potential clients, with whoever follows me for whatever reason, if my primary concern is making sure that I'm operating in this dogmatic way. And I think that anytime you reduce the ability for humans to be transparent with each other, you reduce the ability for connection, and in our cases, you reduce the ability to secure a client base of any kind because people just don't know who you are at all. You know, it's just been a lovely spa day here with Catalina.
Thank
We had
you.
a had a little tequila earlier. We started with the light tequila, got into finger painting. What color did you choose for your? Or are
It's
you
a
just
very light pink, almost white, and I also did
very
my
nice?
toes in case you
Very
needed to
very
see
nice,
that.
very nice. Little toe action here on
So
the
your next
podcast.
influencer moment will be a spa package named after
Absolutely. You know, OT, that'll be OTS, Jonathan, the online trainer spa. Because we've got some alphabets left yet undiscovered. Let's explore them all. I like all
Please,
I
please.
like
And I
all the
like
consonants.
I like this idea because a stressed Caro is a scary Caro.
Yeah, yeah. So we've discovered yet another tier of Catalina danger. We've gone from petty keto to sleepy keto to IKEA keto to stress keto. It sounds like a WWE battle royale. Stress Carol, be there. This is the end of another, just a dynamic, just a knockout show, just a thrilling production of the online trainer show. Amber mentioned that we may be changing the jingle to the Rubber Ducky song. We'll see.
I think
We'll
so.
see. Yeah, we'll see how
we should.
we'll see how that goes. You know, I can go back into
Can
the
you say
physical.
it? Can you say it as if you have what are those things called that pinch your nose?
No, I don't. I
So
don't
it's
know
like a
that I
duck
can
voice. It's like,
no, but I can edit it in a way that it sounds like that. So we'll see. I'll go back into the clothing closet at some point this week with the microphone and see what we can put together, and we'll see if
that's a good
anything
idea.
worthwhile comes out.
I for one think that is a very good use of your time.
It is. It is. You know, the tens of thousands of dollars that I paid in not only my business education but my certifying body education,
Yeah.
and the hours upon hours of study, dedication to clients. I can't think of a better way to spend that time than going into a physical clothing closet and producing a jingle that sounds like a Sesame Street puppet
You
for the
joke.
purposes of a podcast.
You're joking, but the reality of it is this is kind of the world that we live in, where we have some of the
Right.
smartest people in our industry and in other industries with PhDs that are spending all their time making dumbass TikToks.
The dumbest
So,
stuff.
Yes.
Like, it's not that far off of the reality, and
Right.
it keeps getting deeper and deeper into it. And I don't know, man. I don't know where I stand on that, other than just to say that I feel old.
Yeah, same.
I feel like I'm disconnected from the reality, and I kind of like where I am.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I just want people to stop pointing at words. I don't read that
Let's do
quickly,
that
and
again.
there's just so many words on the.
Just
the
because
words
a lot.
come so. It's a lot of words. Like, can you keep it like to 3 instances of 3 to 5 words? Because an entire paragraph about the luteal phase of your menstrual cycle. I'm having a hard time reading it. I can't really pause to get the understanding. And I just
What
want to
was the one
understand
thing-
more. There's no pause function in it.
I'm gonna say that just because of this conversation, after this, I'm gonna go and make
Do
a
it.
TikTok, and it's gonna be like boom, 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 like just like pointing at stuff all over
just
the
have,
screen.
like,
And I'm gonna
figure
tag
out-
you all.
Make
And
some
yes,
pointy.
Figure out in 7 seconds how to point 73 times.
Got it.
That would be fantastic. I love what Brian Cron said. I don't know. There was another example of like plagiarism, and somebody plagiarized somebody else in their content, and they were complaining about it or talking about how it's a bad thing or something. I don't know. Everybody plagiarizes. It's obviously not a good thing, but like, ain't nobody got time for that. And so, So I think it was Brian Cron commented in the comments, and he's like, I don't understand. Why can't these people just figure out how to repeat the same thing every day, week in and week out, just like the rest of us? like you basically just say the same thing over and over and over and over and over again in different ways, pointing at different things. How to feel good about yourself. Pointing at different words about how to feel.
You know what? And I'm glad that I did my nails, because this pointing fingers are all glammed up and ready to go.
You're primed to point.
Do it, man. I'm just gonna keep being the old man on the porch in my rocking chair saying, "Get off my lawn."
Carol, you can take that same finger, Carol, and launch your successful online training career with the OTA. OnlineTrainer.com/OTA. Sign up for the Online Training Academy. That's the sponsor of this show. We'd love to have you in the organization. Show notes can be found. We need a pointing to the show notes. That's what I want next time. Keto, you just point to where the show notes are, and we'll let the production team, to the extent that they exist, add words to where you pointed. Show notes can be found at onlinetrainer.com/podcast. Probably. Keto didn't point to it, so I'm not sure. If a coach doesn't point at fitness, does fitness even exist? That's the conundrum that I'm having. If it doesn't show up in words as you point to it, is it even real science? I think not. But I hope not to find out. I'm dogmatic in my approach to not liking to see people point to a screen. We'll see you jingle.
This is the Online Trainer Show. Trainer Show. Trainer Show. This is the Online Trainer Show.
We shouldn't have a podcast.